I'm so excited to be bringing you today's topic, today's training. Today, we're going to be talking about making content creation a daily habit. And this is huge. This is huge, and we've built up a little bit of context moving into this already. But all of the things I'm going to give you, all of the information that I'm giving you, information is nothing without implementation. So today I want to talk to you about how we can really begin integrating this implementation into our lives in the form of a daily habit. So when we talk about building our business, when we talk about creating a successful business, it really comes down to these three key components. And I'm going to break them down for you really quick, and then we're going to talk about content. So the things that we need to be doing in order to grow this business, grow this brand, grow the bottom line of your company, which at the end of the day, if we're not making sales, if we're not making money, we don't have a business, right? So there's three things that we really need to be focusing on every day, constantly, in this cyclical nature over and over and over again if we want to continue growing our brand, business, and bottom line. So those three things are, we need to be growing our audience every day. This is a daily activity. We talked about this in the tracker. And if we don't have this, if we don't have an audience, we don't have anybody to sell to. And this is important to keep doing and make it a daily habit, because once we sell to a specific amount of people in our audience, we don't want to run that dry. We want to keep growing it. We want to keep having new people in there, new people that we can build relationships with, that we can serve with our offerings. So we're growing this audience. Well, we can't just bring new people in. We have to actually nurture the people inside our community. So we need to deliver content consistently to them, to deliver that value, to build that relationship, to install the right beliefs that we are the people to help them, to show them that we have something to offer, to show them that we have an expertise that can help them, all of the things. So we also need to, we're growing the audience, we're delivering the content, nurturing those people inside of our audience. Well, what are we going to do now? We need to convert that relationship into an actual client, into a paying client. So we build this relationship, we build trust, we build the brand, we build these, relationships within our audience and our community. And then our final job is to turn that relationship into a client. So what do all three of these things have in common? What do all three of these things have in common? Growing your audience, delivering content to nurture your audience, and converting those relationships into clients. What do these things have in common? They are all revolving around creating content. Every single piece of this system to build your brand, build your bottom line, build your business, it all requires content. So why does content creating feel hard? Why does content creation feel hard? If everything in our business revolves around creating content, growing an audience, nurturing that audience, and converting those relationships to paying clients, why does it feel so hard? Well, there's a few reasons here, and I want to talk about them today, and I want to talk about how to actually make this a daily habit that is part of something that you feel is a part of you. So the three reasons, why does creating content feel so hard? Well, there's three reasons. The first one, you haven't built an identity around creating content. You haven't created an identity around being a content creator. The second, you haven't created a habit around creating content every day, creating content in your regular life. And the third is you haven't found a way to let it activate you, to let it pull you, to be excited by it, to really attach that empowered energy to the process and turn it from something that you have to do to something that you actually look forward to doing, something that is an expression of you, something that is a creative expression, and you actually look forward to doing it. So when we can make content creation a part of our identity, when we can build habits around content creation, and when we can actually find a way to let this content creation activate us, empower us, and really be something that we look forward to doing, this is what's going to be the secret sauce to getting the results in your business. So you want, whether it's your first client, whether it's your first 5K, whether it's your first 10K, whether it's 5K, 10K months, 20K months, it takes work. It takes work. And what I feel like is discounted a lot of times in the entrepreneurial world, in this whole paradigm of building a business, is the entrepreneurial mindset is discounted. So I want to talk to you today about who you need to become in order to see those results that you really want in your business. Because when we think about it, let's just think about it for a second. Let's talk about this identity. So you're an entrepreneur. You're here, you're building a business on the internet, you're an entrepreneur. What is the simple definition of an entrepreneur? So it is somebody who takes risks. They take initiatives to form a business. They are a visionary, they're an innovator. They're creating something out of nothing. And it's a person that creates something out of nothing and takes on greater risks than a normal person in order to do something, in order to build this business, in order to create something out of nothing. So the first thing we really need to tap into in order to make content creation this just easy, flowy, something that's more light and airy and part of our day-to-day life, is tapping into the identity that we are entrepreneurs. We're here to create something out of nothing. Our job is to create. We are content creators. And no matter what we're doing inside of our business, whether we're a coach, whether we're a healer, whether we do any kind of service providing, any kind of client-based business, we are a marketer of our services beyond anything else. So really owning that identity of, I am an entrepreneur, I am a creator, I am an innovator, I am here to be a thought leader, to make something out of nothing. And it is my job to create. I'm creating this entire business out of nothing. So leaning into, we are the creators, leaning into that entrepreneurial mindset, leaning into the fact that it does take work, it does take consistency, it does take repetition and consistency over time to build this business. So first things first, lean into that identity. That identity is going to allow you to really shift the way you see yourself inside of your business. And when you can first see yourself as a creator, this is the gateway to making content creation easier for you. So when we talk about this entrepreneurial mindset, I also don't want to discount the fact that it's hard. This is hard. Building a business is hard. Building a business is the hardest thing I've ever done in my lifetime. Building a brand is the hardest thing I've ever done in my lifetime. Showing up on social media day in and day out as I evolve as a leader, as I grow, and really holding myself in that spotlight is the hardest thing I've ever done. Putting offers out is the hardest thing I've ever done. Building an audience on social media is the hardest thing I've ever done. And really just being somebody who needs to show up in this industry and dealing with all of these other things of, my emotional state, my self-love, how I feel about myself, comparing myself to other people, and really trying to stay in my own lane, having my blinders on and really just owning my own journey in this game of social media. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. So I don't want to discount the fact that it's hard, because it's going to be hard. And I think that a lot of times people sugarcoat this and they sweep it under the rug, right? But it gets to be easier. It gets to be easier. So when we can really tap into this identity and we can hold the duality of it is hard, this is something that is hard, but we can do certain things, we can lean into certain identities, certain patterns, certain flows to make it easier, it does get to be easy. So you'll hear me say that, but you'll also hear me say, It's freaking hard. If you hear me say it gets to be easy, it's because we're implementing these things within our life, within our identity, to get us into a creative flow, to get us really in the zone that's going to make it easier, make it more enjoyable, make it more fun. And that's the ultimate goal. We are here to have the time of our lives, building businesses that we freaking love, that we're so, so proud of, and brands that are just a full expression of us. So tapping into that identity, tapping in to that duality of this is hard, this is sustained hard things that we have to do every day, but it gets to be easy. So the identity, we've leaned into it. Now, what do we need to do? We've tapped into that identity. Now let's build a habit around the identity. So content creation can feel hard because you haven't built an identity around it, but after that, you haven't built a habit around it. So think about this. There's certain things that you do every day in your life, whether that's taking a shower, doing your hair, doing your makeup, getting dressed, even checking your email, going to the gym, all of the things. So these happen so just unconsciously almost because we've turned them into habits in our daily life. So this same thing, when we can turn content creation into a habit, we can actually create this ease and flow inside of our daily life of creating content because it's just something that we do every single day. And if you don't lean into your identity as being a content creator, if you don't lean into creating a habit around creating content daily, it's going to be hard for you. It's going to feel resistant. So how can we actually make content creation a daily habit? Now, I really like to look at these things first because everybody's habit structure, everybody's day, everybody's process, everybody's energy, it's going to be completely different. So this is where self-awareness comes in. And the more we can be self-aware as to how we operate as the human, the more we can begin to integrate these habits into our daily life in a way that feels good for us, that's enjoyable for us, and is really just going to be in a place of least resistance in our day so we can get into that flow with it. So the first thing is really we want to just have an understanding, build awareness, and kind of map out what content creation for you looks like. So what does that look like? What do you need to create? What is the daily habits that you need to build around your content creation? How much time a day do you want to be spending on it? And where are you creating? What does that look like? And really thinking about this in terms of how can we make it enjoyable for you? How can you, create a time window where it's a higher point of energy in your day? How can you create a really enjoyable place for you to actually produce the content where you're comfortable, where maybe it's in your home office or in a cafe where you're just kind of in a vibe? How can we make it more of a vibe? So really lean into what does this content creation process look like for you? How can you make it enjoyable? How can you make it a vibe? Start out there. Now, if content creation isn't something that is like ingrained in your identity and your soul, and it doesn't matter what day it is you're creating something, just because like it's a part of you, you may need to put it in your schedule. So I do suggest putting it in your schedule. We talked about identifying the highest points of your day. So I recommend to put content creation inside of one of those pockets where you're in a higher energy, you have a little bit more energy to expend, because when we can really get in this vibe of like, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm confident, I'm ready to create, and then you're in this high energy, you can really channel that energy into your content, and whichever energy you're putting into it, whether that is chore energy, resistance, I don't like this, I don't feel good doing this, or it's I'm super excited to share my message with the world. I have something to say. I love creating content. This is so much fun. Whatever energy you put into that, your audience is going to feel subconsciously. So it's so, so important if we can really be mindful and optimize how we're feeling before we intentionally create our content, this is what's going to create the best brand presence. It's going to create just this vibe within your community, this vibe within your brand. And, when we think about attraction marketing, when we think about the law of attraction, now I don't want to say that, you have to be high vibe to do everything, to put out a sale, to put out content, to create in your business. But if we can be more intentional about creating it and creating that vibe within our actual community and really lean into those higher level emotions of joy, desire, fun, freedom, empowerment, and put that into our brand, the more we're going to attract the right people, the more we're going to attract those high vibe clients too. So don't ever let being in a high vibe or low vibe stop you and prevent you from doing the work. But the more we can intentionally channel this energy of, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying doing it, I actually genuinely have a message to share with the world, and this is important to me, the more that's going to be felt by the collective. So it's progress over perfection. It's consistency over perfection. So find a way that you can put it in your schedule in a way that is in a higher energy point of the day, or something that will be more enjoyable for you. So the third thing that you can do to create that habit is to make a reward system for yourself. So maybe you're somebody who likes to work out outside. Maybe you have a deal with yourself where every time you create a piece of content, you're going to go for a nice walk outside, or you're going to go for a run on the beach, or you're going to go in the trail and do a little hike afterwards to just really reward yourself with that thing that you really, really love. Now, this could be also like a treat. Maybe you want to get a Starbucks coffee, or, you're going to binge a show on Netflix tonight because you created all your content for the day. Think about something that works for you. Think about a reward system that works for you, and lean into yourself creating the content in a way that is in your prime time of your energy, in a space that feels really good and juicy and fun for you to create. And the third thing is, how can we actually make it activating for you? How can we actually let this empower you and activate you? So I think about a couple things when I think about letting our content creation activate us. I think about the context. What is the context of me creating this content? Well, I am in this long-term energy of building a brand, of sharing my message with the world, of creating a legacy of something that's going to last beyond my lifetime, creating this body of work, this amazing, beautiful body of work with all of my, creative artistry tapped into it, really having this creative expression of thought leadership, of really, demonstrating my expertise of helping people, of delivering value, and in the grand scheme of things, of shaping future generations of leaders because of the information I'm putting on the internet. How beautiful is that? I can change somebody's day. I can completely change somebody's mood. I can help somebody who's stuck working through something with this one piece of content. And every new piece of content I put out is another opportunity for somebody to find me. So tapping into this context, what's the bigger context of your brand? What's the bigger context of creating content? Tapping into that, let that activate you. Let the bigness of this industry and the impact that we can have activate you. So context, creativity, community. I love creating content. I love making the branding. I love doing all this stuff because it is a creative expression of me as a human, and it is the biggest creative project I've ever had in my lifetime. So I am a creative at heart. I did hair for many years, and then I went to art school. I went to school to be a graphic designer, and from there I got into web design. I started working with the branding agency, and then I really climbed into all of that, right? Like brand experience design, user experience design, designing actual sales systems, like all of these different types of design. And at the end of the day, it all sources around this like creative center that really drives me. So I love showing up in my business. I love building this business. I love creating this business because it is such a creative project for me, and any way that I can actually channel my creativity is so, so much fun for me. So how can you tap into the creative aspect? How can you really fall in love with the brand that you're creating, fall in love with the visual identity that you're creating, fall in love with the graphics, the colors, the typefaces, just every little detail? How can it be such an expression of you that you have so much fun creating every little bit of it? And again, this isn't about perfectionism. This is just about getting it out there. This is about consistency, but really falling in love with the process of it. Community. This is, again, this taps into the larger context of we're creating these communities, and there are people that actually look forward to seeing you. There are people that look forward to seeing you online and seeing your content. And, it really blows my mind when I get these messages like, oh my gosh, your newsletter was amazing. Oh my gosh, can you, add me to this list? I don't want to miss anything. Oh my gosh, you just posted a piece of content and it helped me. I was stuck today creating something and it helped me to move through that. Like these little tiny messages, comments, these interactions with your community, sometimes we can get so lost in the attachment to the outcome or the number or any of the validation that we forget the reason that we're doing it in the first place is for the people, for the service, for the impact. So keep your community in mind. Tap into that creativity, tap into that bigger context, and you will begin to see this getting a lot easier for you.